It's the Bryson Rosser Show.
This session of the Bryson Rosser Show is brought to you by Cellular Express, an authorized agent of U.S. Cellular. Visit their Knoxville Center Mall location. They've brought you this broadcast.
Here's more with Coach Bryson Rosser.
Let's move on to the offensive side of the ball. We'll get into a little bit more football details. What is your base offensive scheme that you either have always run or it's evolved into what it is today?
It's a form of the spread. I mean, everyone has a little bit of something, whether it's a QB read option, which we were talking about, or a multiple set, or no huddle, or anything else. But we try to consider ourselves a balanced spread. Try to obviously take advantage of our strengths and do what our kids can do well. But we try to have a balanced attack and run and pass plays as well. So, it's not, one particular type of offense anymore as it was with West Coast and,
right.
Run and gun and those things. So it's just a form of the spread. It's just a matter of what you're watching and what athletes people have. So
let's talk the quarterback position, probably the most important position in any team sport. How do we look there at the quarterback position? What kind of experience does your starting quarterback have coming in?
Trey Mitchell will be a senior quarterback for us this year. He's about 6'4", 225 pounds. He's a good-looking kid. He's a smart kid. Has about a 4.0 GPA, I believe a 27 ACT. He's the what you look for when you talk about a student athlete. But he's been with me 3 years. Was unfortunately got hurt as a sophomore. Came in last year, played as a junior, went 9-3 as a starter. He continues to grow every single day. But he's one of those guys that's been with me, like I said, going to year 3. He knows the offense pretty well. And even when we tweak it, it's easy for him to adapt to it and teach it to the other guys.
A lot of coaches like to say they like to build their teams from the inside out. Offensive line, what do you have coming back? Is it as far as a blocking scheme, is it a gap scheme? Is it a zone-based power? What kind of scheme do you run on the offense?
It's a combination of two. I like the pin and pull scheme, and I've ran that a bunch, but we won't do too much of that this year. We have some gap schemes going on. We have some down block and pull schemes going on. We're returning guys, but guys with not a lot of experience.
Right.
There's not one senior on the offensive line right now, which can be scary at times, but this is one of the bigger groups you'll see at the offensive line for us. With Alex Hinton and Jacoby Troutman, they're both returning at junior and sophomore respectively. We have another sophomore at right tackle right now, and then you have 2 juniors at left guard and left tackle. So, as we continue to grow, we'll go as those guys do. We're excited about what they're doing, but once again, that experience, you can't make up for that.
No.
So we're hoping that they grow up a little bit quicker than expected, and we're able to do some things on the ground.
What about the skill positions? Your running backs, receivers, pretty much the names we all hear over the PA system. What do you have coming out there?
Running backs are pretty solid. All those guys are returned. Jadarius Sackey would be a third-year starter for me. He's a two-way starter as well. He'll be pretty strong running the ball. Really small, compact guy, but people are used to hearing his name. Tico Stanley would be a name that you heard a little bit last year towards the end of the playoffs. Really strong runner. He's finally healthy and looking for a good senior campaign from him. Javier West, who also plays linebacker for us, is really strong as well. Now, you look at the receiving core, that's one that, is probably the one that hurts me the most right now. I had 4 senior guys last year. All of them have gone on to college and doing, great things right now, student athletes, but there were guys that knew it inside and out, and we could throw it all over the place with Trey. So, it hurts, but once again, that's what I was talking about with the graduation of kids.
Right.
That's part of it. That's how it happens. So we have some newer faces, some new names. But they'll become household names. Jared Richardson is the one senior starter we have returning, but still minimal experience. We have Chase Styles coming in as a freshman that we're looking for things from. Lewis McNair, who will be a senior. Just a plethora of names that can make plays, and we hope that names that you'll hear Friday night, over and over again.
Absolutely. Last question on offense. We see a lot of teams go tempo, quote unquote. Are you going to be a team that pushes the envelope on tempo? Are you going to mix it up a little bit, go tempo at times, and then pull it back?
Yeah, we can do a little bit of both. As part of our versatility. We're still kind of traditional in the huddle. But every day we practice a no huddle aspect if we need to, end of the quarter, end of the half, end of the game. So to be able to practice that, we're able to go that at any point in time. But we don't do it unless our kids are comfortable with what we're doing.
Right.
That's my quote this year is checkers, not chess. We try to keep it as simple as possible, and the quicker the guys can grab it, the faster we can go.
Right. Less they think, the faster they play. Let's talk about the defense and what your base scheme is defensively.
It's a 4-2-5 scheme. Some people see it as a 4-3, cover 2 shell. There's a lot of movement going on. We do quite a bit with bringing pressures off the end, dropping a couple of defensive linemen back. They have a lot of fun in what we do. We bring 5-6 man pressures, sometimes 7 depending on the formation, but it's one that allows us to play really fast. Again, it's checkers, not chess, so we keep it simple, and we just allow them to communicate with each other and play really fast and really well. The essentials are to run to the ball and be able to tackle, and then you hope everything else takes care of itself.
4-2-5 has a lot of versatility in terms of defending a lot of different offenses. Is that one reason why that is the base defense?
Yeah, we see a couple of different things. We have a couple teams that keep it in tight and almost have some wing tee type things we go against. We have some spread teams like we talked about we go against. We have some really fast teams that we go against, right. And some people that slow it down more. So with this base, it allows us to kind of defend almost anything we have on our schedule.
Okay, let's get into the individuals that we'll be hearing over the PA system a lot. You can, again, start from the inside, so start with the D-line and then work backwards.
Our D-line is probably the strength of our defense this year. Those 4 guys up front are really huge and impactful in what we do. Leighton Wade is a senior. He plays some tackle and some end. Tyler Davies is a senior. Jalen Clemens is a sophomore. He's one that we're looking for a lot out of. He's probably one of the big newcomers coming up this year. And Isaac Buell kind of anchors our line. He's about 6'4", 250. He's a strong, fast kid. Plays with a high motor. He's another. All my guys are good student athletes, but he's the that example that you use. Has about a 4.0 GPA. Has a 32 ACT. Has a couple of offers on the table. He's a name that you will follow and you will hear a bunch of, and he's just a great kid. So up front, we're expecting a lot. Coach Longhill is a coach that's been with me for 3 years now. He really expects excellence from those guys, and that's what we're looking for.
Who are some of the kids out there? Everybody knows the starters. After probably 3-4 games, they're going to get familiar with certain names. But who are some of maybe the younger players that are knocking on that door in practice every day? They're doing everything right. They're just maybe missing maybe it's experience. But in practice, you see what they're doing. Who are those guys that are right there on the brink?
Well, we have a couple guys, especially on the defense side of the ball. At the linebacker position, we have Xavier Washington, who started some games for us. He'll be a sophomore. He'll be in a new position, which will allow him to make a lot of plays. And he'll be starting for us. I don't know if he's knocking on the door experience-wise, but he'll be in that position. Jalen Clemens, sophomore, I said again, to be really big. Edward Brody is a defensive back for us who's fighting for a starting position right now. Darius Caswell in the secondary. Lewis McNair, who I mentioned, wide receiver, we're looking for him to be in there. And that secondary, talk about guys coming back. Rondro Peebles is a strong safety for us this year, and he was all-state as a junior. Wow. He's another real special kid, has a 2-point GPA, in that range, 2.5 range, and has an ACT of about 26, 27. So he's smart, works real hard, and has a motor as well. At the linebacker position, Malik Robinson's a freshman that's kind of knocking on the door for some time. Jarrett Hensley, another junior, knocking on the door, and they're following behind Jadarius Sackey and Javier West. So we have some, like I said, some repetitive names that you see, but there's a lot of guys coming behind them that are looking to kind of step in and really help us out a lot.
Okay, let's turn a little bit to more of coaching philosophy. What would be the one non-negotiable that you just, with the players, you will not budge? We'll keep it, I guess, on the field. You will not budge on that the kids know it, they have to do this to please Coach Rosser?
Well, it actually comes in a package of 3, so I can't tell you just one. And everything that we teach them, it goes for non-negotiable in football and in life. Okay. We tell them football is life, life is football. The 3 are our AEDs: attitude, effort, and discipline. Those 3 are non-negotiables. At worse, without having all the talent in the world, knowing a certain amount of people, you can bring the right attitude to work every day. You can give your best effort, and you can be disciplined in what you do. Those are all things that they can control as well. So when we talk about non-negotiables, there's things that kids can control. And I know you said one, but those three come in a package.
One package.
And they know those three go together, and that's what we expect from them.
Going into the season, and this could change and evolve throughout the season, but going into the 2016 season, what would you say is the strength of the Central offense?
Our offense is probably our running backs and our quarterback. They can kind of dictate what goes on, up front, protection-wise, running the ball, of course, and then being able to put guys in position to make plays. So those guys are all veterans. They've been back there for a while, and I'm expecting, them to hold us down and be a good strength for us.
Now, earlier you mentioned the defensive front being the strength of the defense. Would that be more so from a pass rush standpoint or run stopping, or both?
Both. Those guys all experienced. Those first three names are seniors. I've seen them play for 3 years together. Now they're adding a new addition with that sophomore in there, but it's both. It's run, it's pass, and it's screens. Those guys are huge in everything we do, and with all the pressures we bring, they start and stop everything that we do. Nothing happens without those guys.
Fill in the blank here on this one. Central will return to the postseason if
our kids continue to keep their non-negotiables in place.
Fill in the blank one more time. Central will go further in the postseason if they do what differently, or if they improve in what way?
Continue to keep their non-negotiables as their first point of reference and never waver from that.
Good answer, Coach. All right, that about does it here with Coach Rosser of the Central Bobcats head football program. I'm Tom Poisel. We'll see you at the stadium.